welcome again to another episode of Blam, Truckers. I'm
Blam, Truckers.
I'm Blam, otherwise known as Buse. That's
And
Blam,
I'm Bees, otherwise known as Blam. That was bad. We're talking over each other.
It's all good.
Oh.
Well, hopefully it syncs up right so that we're not talking over each other, or doesn't sync up right. I don't know. Whatever works. So, we are happy to have all of our wonderful viewers again, even if you just happen to see a small portion of us in a little short. We hope that you will like, share, and subscribe. And as I say the word subscribe, if you're on a computer, you'll notice that YouTube has changed it. So whenever someone says the word subscribe, the subscribe button lights up. So it's lit up about 8 times during the past sentence.
We should sing a subscribe song. Subscribe, 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 subscribe. I can't even speak English anymore. That is a bad word to say 5 times fast.
It's kind of like a Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, but a Peter Piper
that I
picked
can
a
do.
peck of picked pebbles. Oh, I just said pebbles. Wow. Yeah. Anyway.
Look, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where is the peck of pickled peppers that Peter Piper picked? I can do that. I can do rubber baby bugger.
Can
rubber
you?
baby buggy bumpers. Rubber baby buggy bumpers. She sells seashells by the seashore. Unique New York. King Kong. All those stupid things. But subscribe.
Oh, but yeah, I didn't.
You can quote me on that.
I didn't realize they did it till the other day. I was watching a random channel, and when they said subscribe now, I'm like, I look and I was watching on my computer and I didn't have it full screen because I typically don't when I'm at work because I'm just listening. But I happen to be looking at that point just in case my boss is watching. I would not watch YouTube the entire time I'm at work. I just listen to it in the background for music, like you probably heard. Anyways.
I think that's where I get most of my music these days, between Pandora and YouTube. I have a vast collection of MP3s I paid for. I've got tons of CDs. Not tons. I have a bunch of CDs. I have tons of actual tapes, and which I can't seem to get rid of. And I don't really want to, because I have audio on there that nobody in the rest of the world has. Yeah.
Just because they're magnetic media, you may want to consider transferring those to something a bit more digital,
Yeah,
if
probably.
it's important.
Meh.
But yeah. But
And
yeah, I
yet
was
I get
watching.
most of my music from YouTube and
YouTube.
Pandora, and mostly YouTube.
I don't even listen to. I do listen to music, and I do the same thing. I get it mostly through YouTube and Pandora. Pandora if I'm driving. YouTube if I'm sitting down, because I like to be
Pandora's
able to
got
choose my music. But
those hands-off features, and then there's other radio programs out there that are really nice that I don't use.
although you can use YouTube Music and have
Yeah.
it be similar to Pandora. And you can also use YouTube Music if you pay for YouTube Premium and just listen to the music on its own and download it ahead of time, just like you could do with Pandora, I guess. But
What I like about Pandora is the same thing I don't like about Pandora, and that's it puts in new song selections. And when I like the songs, I like it a lot. When I don't, I'm like, I already used my 3 skips. So
it's
I
up to
don't
more
pay
than
for
3
it.
skips at least. No,
Oh,
at least I
enough.
think it is. I haven't actually skipped for a while because the music, over time, I do my thumbs up station, and
Yeah.
I've done thumbs up on enough stuff that most of the time it's music that I've already thumbs up. So unless I just don't want to hear it, then
I also want the suggestions, so I still hear new stuff.
yeah,
Because YouTube right now will only when it puts together playlists for me, it's only songs I've listened to before.
right.
It's never songs of the same genre, and quite often I only listen to like 1 or 2 songs from any particular genre, or maybe let's say 15. And those are the only ones that'll play, and I get sick of that in about a day, and I'm like, I need to pick new songs of this genre, only now I can't think of any because I've been listening to the same 15 songs. Yeah.
The way I do it is if I'm watching a movie and a song I haven't heard for a while comes up, it normally sticks in my head enough that the next time I'm on YouTube, I will purposely listen to that. Then occasionally I'll get new suggestions to go along with it. And then after 2 songs of new suggestions, of which I probably have listened to them before, but a long time back, then it'll just get added in with my stuff.
Yeah.
But
And then I'll think of like one line from a song, it'll get stuck in my head, and I won't be able to look it up because it's one line of a verse, and I type it into the Google or the Bing or whatever search engine I decide to use. Alta Vista, Metacrawler, and Dogpile,
go.
DuckDuckGo, Ask Jeeves, and then it can't find it for me. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but
we were actually singing. The name of the band was Lip Sync. I'm sorry, Lips Inc. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about moving. What is the name of that song there?
I don't know.
Take me to Funky Town.
Oh, that's it. Won't you
that
take
is one
me
of
to Funky Town? I don't have a voice to sing with.
That song is one of the greatest songs ever written and one of the worst songs ever written. It's just 8 hooks. Or 5 hooks, or whatever it is. There's no verse, there's no chorus, there's no bridge. It's just hook after hook after hook. It is the last disco song that ever charted, and it charted after disco died. No other disco song has ever charted since then on the Billboard Top 100. And for months beforehand, disco was off the charts. It was gone. Not like way off the charts, but like we don't want it on the charts anymore. Disco is dead. And then Funky Town came out, and the guy who wrote it is from the same town as a little-known musician that's passed away by now named Prince. You may have heard of him.
Or the artist, but yes.
Yes. Well, whatever he decides to call himself, whatever he decided to call himself at various points during his life. So Prince was trying to decide whether he wanted to pursue a career in music or basketball. And after that song came out, he's like, St. Paul, I think he was from St. Paul, is not going to be known as, this can't be the only song coming out of St. Paul that people know St. Paul's music from, because he hated that song. So that song is also directly responsible for, or one of the factors that's directly responsible for Prince deciding to pursue a career in music. So if you like Purple Rain,
thank Funky Town.
Yeah. He did sing Purple Rain, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Purple Rain, unfortunately, I think of November Rain. I know Purple Rain. I just
me too.
Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like,
I know they're not even all that similar of a song, but November Rain from Guns N' Roses is is a classic that's been in my head forever, and unless there's only a couple of country songs about rain that trump it as far as rain songs go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Funky Town. Won't you take me to? Go listen to it. It's an earworm of a song, and it's just 5 or 6, maybe 8 on the outside, different hooks, one after another, with different music accompanying each hook. And that's all it is.
Wait, so you're saying to mess up a Weird Al song, which was a parody of another song? This song is just 6 hooks long.
This song is just 6 hooks long.
Oh. Yeah, I'm in a mood tonight, everybody, which is fine.
Yeah. We had a lot of technical difficulty getting this stuff up and running today.
Yes, I think it took us about an hour to get both of our microphones working and then both sets of speakers working. Not really sure
to talk to each other tonight.
Yeah, not really sure which end stuff was on, or even if it was not related to either one of us in some cases. But we're working now, and we're here, and we work for you. kind of. You don't really pay us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one day. If there's
Well, if we
enough
ever
of
get
you out
enough
there,
viewers,
yeah, if we get enough viewers, maybe this will become our full-time jobs.
boy,
I'm
that'd be
not
better
holding
than
out much hope,
just
but
a
I am
little bit.
holding up. I'm holding out enough hope that we can someday pay for an
Hmm.
editor.
There you go.
Literally, I am more willing to pay someone to do this editing than to be paid to do this myself.
Nice.
Oh.
So, uh, I have something that I think would make a very good clip. We've started doing the clips
Mhm.
on YouTube, the reels. So, I'm
Shorts
just
on
going to
YouTube,
launch into it.
on reels on Facebook, and I'm not on TikTok, nor do I plan to be. And I haven't
Real
done
short
Insta. I've
TikTok vines?
There you go.
Real short TikTok vines. So anyway, um, I'm going to launch into it. Uh, all these different entertainment companies out there. Yeah, I'm launching into it. All these different entertainment companies out there, from Warner Brothers to Disney, they have lost their customer base. And ask any business out there that's successful in bringing a customer back. Everybody's talking about on the internet today, what do they have to do to get their customer base back? That's not how everybody's putting it, but they keep saying things like they've lost the audience, they've lost this, they've lost that. And the truth of the matter is, there's the big suggestion going through right now is you just leave the franchises alone, the IPs alone for a while, and let it kind of go fallow, like you're running a farm or something. And then after 5 or 10 years, you can try again. Well, that's one way to do it. It might work. But just like any other business out there, if you've offended a customer or lost a customer, the best way to get them back is first to apologize and then to change how you're doing your business or to fix their problem. One of the two. Basically, you need to repent. And I can't think of a better word in English for it, is to apologize and repent. Turn away from what you were doing. And yeah, you need to start off with that apology, because I don't care whether it's McDonald's screwing up my hamburger, which happens. I said no cheese. I'm lactose intolerant. Whatever your issue is. You go in there and you tell them what the problem is, and they say, hopefully, if they're good at customer service, they say, I'm sorry, sir. We're going to make this right for you, and we're going to give you something you like in addition to this. We're going to make it even better for you. But bare minimum, they should be fixing your problem. That's true for McDonald's. If you go in to get your car fixed and instead they paint it because they got their orders messed up, it's their responsibility to make it right. They'll apologize and they'll tell you, hey, we made a mistake. We're going to make it right. That's what right now Disney and Warner Brothers, whatever you may think of what the programs they're putting out, if you go to the box office, Disney, Warner Brothers especially, they've lost their audiences. And to some degree, all the rest of the major entertainment companies as well. They have lost their customers. And if you want your customer back, with any other business out there, even if it's home repair, if any other business, you make a mistake, you want your customer back, you apologize, and you fix it. And that's what these entertainment companies really need to do, is apologize and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the apology is kind of important. And I'll be honest,
it's
like when it
very
comes
important.
to
If you break
when it comes
somebody's
to the
heart,
apology, it doesn't an apology doesn't always necessarily have to be them, at least in my opinion. Uh, it doesn't always have to be them literally coming out and saying we're sorry. Sometimes them fixing it, depending upon how they fix it, is them kind of saying they're sorry. I won't mention the specific book series, but there is a book series that Bees and I used to read, and it felt like them bringing back a specific author to fix a lot of
oh yes.
issues that had been in the past was like an apology to all of us before they went and screwed it up again. But still, that's if they could do something that, or
They
even
put out a press release though. They didn't they they didn't put out a press release. They did some, I don't know if it was interviews or what, but they came out and said they brought him back because they'd been making mistakes. And that's really all the only apology they need to make is, listen,
What
we
happened
haven't.
after that then? Anyway, sorry, that's not
They
derailing it because they
they
did
took
they.
editorial control. That's what happened after it.
Oh, gotcha.
Because before that they weren't really giving all that much control to the editorial, and
Hmm.
so storylines were going all over the place, everywhere, everywhere. And after that, the storylines continued. They came in with a laser-like focus, and they started telling one major storyline after another. Actually, I think there were only like three, all said and done.
Hmm.
Three major storylines over a couple of books, and it was much better editing, and the stories weren't much better. But they did fix part of their problem. So yeah.
And and the only reason we're not going into it is because we're trying to stay positive. And if
Oh yeah.
the second we name the book series, we can go off on a tangent that would last for 8 episodes. So,
8 to 10. Uh, yeah, and it doesn't. The only apology we need is, listen, we haven't been making the movies you guys want to see. So we can see that from the box office. That's how audiences communicate with entertainment companies, is at the box office. So we can see from the box office we haven't been making the kind of movies you want to see. So we're going back to basics. And moving forward, hopefully we will be making the kind of movies you want to see. That's our goal. Our goal is to entertain you and to give you an escape from reality for a little while, because life can suck. And instead of taking you away from that, we've been adding to it. They don't even have to go that far. They just, again, we haven't been listening to you. Clearly, we're not making the movies you want to see, and we want to make the movies you want to see. That's our goal. That's it.
eh,
That's all I have to say.
yep. And in some ways, a couple of these studios have come out and admitted that they're going to try to fix it,
But
but we haven't gotten the apology or any sort of recognition that they were necessarily doing it wrong. They're just
mm,
saying we're not making money, so we're doing this. Not we're not making money because we are not appealing to our customers. But we'll see how things go. I mean,
so
as everyone knows, I'm not saying you're not forgiving, but when it comes to certain studios, I'm a bit more forgiving, and I don't have as high of standards, or let me rephrase it. My standards are different than
yeah,
Beeze's. And that's fine. Stuff that appeals to me doesn't appeal to him. Some stuff that appeals to him doesn't appeal to me. And that's perfectly fine. And yes, I'm playing with
no.
G.I. Joe legs. But,
Why are you playing
what?
with Tiger Force GI Joe legs?
I don't think this Tiger. This is the guy with like the football jersey.
Fridge?
I don't know.
They look like Tiger Force GI Joe legs. Yes, we're still geeks.
This guy. Is that Fridge?
Slow it down. That is Bazooka. That is Tiger Force Bazooka.
Oh,
Regular
okay. So,
Bazooka has a red shirt with white lettering on it.
okay, I've got him too somewhere. Yeah. Anyways, I've got to get. I need to buy the rubber bands to fix a lot of these guys.
Oh,
You know, because since these guys came out in the '80s, those rubber
still good.
bands just eventually.
Yeah,
I actually found one. I'm like, oh, this guy didn't break, and I picked him up, and
and
the
he
second I
broke.
started to twist it, I didn't even hear a snap. It was just like, it was like
Crumble.
cutting through butter. Like the elastic breaking was like cutting through butter. I rotated
Yeah,
him a bit, and you could just feel it.
yeah.
Oh,
So
but
yeah,
anyways,
I do have different standards. I also have very high standards when it comes to story, as you guys know. I want a very well told story. Um, I don't need a great story. I just need a good story, well told. I prefer a great story. I think we would all prefer a great story. But
mm-hmm.
at that point, you're getting away from what you can you're getting away from the quantitative to the qualitative. Whenever you're going from good to great, like good means you're hitting certain standards of storytelling. Like we can talk about good foreshadowing, but great foreshadowing. Now you're getting into you've met the requirements of good, and now you're getting into what does views consider great storytelling, and what does B's consider great storytelling, great foreshadowing, or whatever aspect of storytelling. You might have a great story that has very little foreshadowing throughout the story because it doesn't need it. Um, Especially if there's a twist coming. If you've got a twist coming or a murder mystery, you have to invest a lot into your foreshadowing so that the reader has the opportunity to know what the mystery is from the clues given in the story. It's one of the reasons why the Sherlock show, one of the main critiques I had with that Sherlock show, I think it was Sherlock, the one with the BBC, with
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Benny, Benny C. The one with Smog and Bilbo. Um, so that one, there's almost no foreshadowing for how the murders or crimes were actually committed, and it becomes more and more obvious as they go on that Sherlock is just going to know something that was not shown to the audience. That there's no possible way anyone else could have picked up on that, and it was I found that one of the critiques of that show. Not that I didn't enjoy watching it the first time through. It was on repeated watching that I started picking up on this because those are excellent actors and they were interesting stories, if not the best told stories.
And that's the thing. Sometimes actors
Yeah.
can make things easier to watch, but there's plenty of stuff I enjoyed that on rewatch I'm like, huh. Like stuff I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, I wish I never saw this in the theater. Like, oh, I enjoyed seeing it in the theater when it first came
Yeah.
out, or I enjoyed watching it when I first bought it on DVD and or whatever. But
For me,
yeah,
that's Avengers Endgame.
for me
I
that's
enjoyed it in the
Avengers.
theater. What?
For me that's Avengers.
Really? Fair
On
enough.
rewatch of Avengers, I like Avengers less and less on each rewatch. I actually enjoy Age of Ultron each time I watch it more.
Really?
Um,
That's
yeah.
interesting. I
To
I
me,
love that
Infinity
first
War
Avengers
is.
movie.
I thought it was a good movie. Just on rewatch, there's just issues and stuff I have with it. I don't know if it's costume coloring. I don't know if it's maybe like effects just aren't quite holding up for me. I don't know what it is, but like I can go back and watch Iron Man 1 a million times over and I'm
Oh
fine.
yes.
Um, the first Captain America movie, I think it's still fine and fun, and I've rewatched it. And if it's on TV, I'll watch it, but I might not put it on, but I still think it's good. Um,
No.
yeah, but I can go into all that, but yeah. But I will say, I think Infinity War still, like, out of all the Avengers movies, I'll put it this way: out of all the Avengers movies that are actual Avengers movies,
Mm.
Infinity War is my favorite. Now, granted, I don't know if it's because of my Empire Strikes Back syndrome, where I like to see people like the heroes losing or whatever, but I felt it was very well done. Storyline wise, I think it's great. Me liking Infinity War is also one of the reasons why I have issues with Endgame, and
Mhm.
most of it unfortunately comes down to Thanos. I enjoyed Endgame. I've watched it multiple times. I think it is a good, fun movie. Storyline wise, I just have some issues because I felt that because Infinity War was Thanos was in many ways the main character of that, and
That's
Thanos
fair.
was very well developed in Infinity War.
Hmm.
So well developed that the younger version of Thanos we get in Endgame, spoiler for 5-year-old
5-year-old
movie or
movie.
whatever, um, the younger version of Thanos we get in Endgame, it is not
Yeah.
the same Thanos we had before, and that guy just sucks as a villain. Infinity War Thanos,
His power
great.
levels are way off.
His Now, one thing that somebody has said before, um, and I get it, and it is there visually, and I can. understand and accept and respect it is that in Infinity War, as Thanos is pretty much Thanos takes off more armor every time he gets another gem. Because with the gems, he doesn't need armor because he's become more powerful. He doesn't
Mm.
really quite take off his armor in Endgame. And, it's more of his warrior self. This is the guy who'd be on a battlefield who's somewhat afraid of getting hurt. But they didn't really establish, like, the armor giving him extra power or whatever. And even Thor in his state in Endgame, I'm sorry, like,
Thor should have
Thor
been
should
far
have,
more powerful than young
yeah.
Thanos.
And heck, I thought even, like, and again, even Iron Man in Infinity War, I felt gave Thanos, with the stones, all the stones he had, a much harder time than Thanos in his armor did.
Yeah, the power levels were
Fun,
way off.
fun fight scene though. I love the fight scenes. Uh,
I'm
but
not disagreeing with you. It was
but
well told. The story wasn't great, but it was well told.
yeah.
But when you said, I wanted to interrupt you, but I didn't want to interrupt you. When you said maybe it's because you like is your Empire Strikes Back thing, or you
Mm-hmm.
like stories where the hero loses. And all I could think of when you said that was that song by Blues Travelers, "Runaway." In a bad play where the hero's right, and nobody thinks or expects too much, and Hollywood's calling for the movie rights, saying, "Hey babe, let's keep in
Keep in
touch.
touch.
Hey baby, let's keep in touch." A bad play where the hero's right. Those are my favorite kind of plays. I like my escapism. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily. I get challenged plenty enough in real life, and with all the different things I look into and research, I don't need to be challenged in my escapism.
Fair
I don't.
enough.
I think most of us don't want to be challenged that much in a majority of our escapism, our fantasy. So yeah. Oh, what else is going on in the world today?
I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but Best Buy has decided, as of the beginning of the year, is stopping selling DVDs and Blu-rays. So get them on clearance if you want them.
Get them while you can. Buy physical media. We've seen these companies change movies and stuff in once they were on streaming, starting of course with our beloved Star Wars.
And Lilo and Stitch, and
No, even before streaming. I was thinking of the
oh, the
special
special edition.
editions.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then the original. Remember when they did this? Then they put out the special editions again, but they included the original versions. But even those
yeah.
original versions had changes to them.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then, but I'm thinking like
Hand shot
like
first.
on streaming, like Lilo and Stitch, like they changed a dryer into like a box or something like that because they didn't want kids to think it was okay to climb into a dryer when Lilo was hiding from Nani at one point. It was,
Wow.
yep. Oh,
It's like
if
in ET where they changed the guns into radios.
walkie talkies, yep.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, like stuff changes and they can change it on you.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't Buse being like
Paranoid.
paranoid or conspiracy theory. Like
Paranoia,
you
paranoia.
can look this
Everybody's
up
coming to
online.
get you.
Disney and other places have other
Yeah.
yeah, other companies have admitted to doing it for whatever reasons they have. Whether you agree with the reasons or not, we don't necessarily have these originals. So if we don't have these originals, what do what do you do?
They're
Um,
changing the movie, and maybe they're changing it in a way that you don't want it to be changed as the consumer.
and I am a very big proponent of. I don't necessarily buy, even before. I didn't buy
Hmm.
a ton of movies, but now I'm thinking that not necessarily I'm going to buy a ton of movies, but when it comes to TV shows and movies I like, I'm going to buy them and I'm going to try to get them on physical media. And the reason, partially that, but also because, hey, I'm not a rich man. I don't have that big YouTube money coming in yet. But
Not yet. Hopefully, you guys will bring it in for us.
exactly. But when it comes down to it, like if I go broke, and I'll be honest, streaming services, if I'm lower
They,
on money and can't afford bills, streaming
those are the
services are going to
first
go
to
rather
go.
quick.
First to go.
Yep,
I
because
am a
I
little
need
broke
internet.
right now, and they were the first to go.
Exactly. And
Streaming services, games I need to subscribe to play.
yep, because
That's the other
they're
thing. Oh,
they're not necessary. Oh, sorry. But because yeah, they're not necessary. And if I want to rewatch something, if I like something enough and want to rewatch it, I want to have physical copies of it so that I can still
yeah.
watch it.
That was one of the things we talked about last week. Is City of Heroes came back, um, and it's got licensing again, official approval. So
Mm-hmm.
physical media.
Yep.
I
Fun
really
movie.
enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It was my favorite superhero movie that came out that year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was fun. It was enjoyable. Wasn't that didn't have it was it allowed it to be an escapism movie without bringing a lot of
Yes.
the
Real life.
let me escape real life. I'm
Yeah.
trying to escape real life without a lot of a little bit of real life in there. Kid's going through being an orphan and all that stuff, and his mom didn't want him. That's wow, that's a punch in the gut. But it's not my real life. That's his real life. He needs some reality. I just don't need to be. I like to escape,
Yep.
and movies allow us to do that in a way that's enjoyable. And that's I think a lot of people have forgotten that. Anyway, um, City of Heroes finally came back, and Buse and I were both big Marvel Heroes fans, the video game Marvel Heroes, and that game has not come back yet, and maybe it never will. There's some people putting some code together right now that might have a shot at making it a reality again, but there's a lot of work ahead of them, a lot, and it's got to be a passion project because if they make any money off of it, they can get sued.
Mm-hmm. That's why you'll find a lot of free servers. At the very least, if they don't make money off of it, most of the time they just get takedown notices. And while it is a pain because they sunk their blood, sweat, and tears into making it
Something I
live
love.
again, they're not going to lose their houses.
Yeah,
Whereas if they make money off of it, they can get sued for even more money than they made.
yeah. Um, with Marvel Heroes, I dumped over $200 into that game,
Mm-hmm.
and what do I have to show for it? Some memories. So buy physical copies of your media. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I know that doesn't really work with online games, but the rest of them, buy physical copies of your media.
Although I will say, with a lot of games now, they we fought back for many years, but gamers lost. There's so much always online stuff, or you need to be
Yeah.
connected online in order to get the full experience of your game. And the games
Mm-hmm.
are and the games that are coming out now are not coming out complete. If I buy a, I mean, heck, most of the stuff is downloaded now anyways, but I think of I'll go back a few years to my PS3 or even the PS4. Um,
PS3 was the last PS I bought.
yeah, me too. Me too. But I think it was No Man's Sky. Was that PS4 or PS3?
I don't know.
Oh well.
I
But
don't play it,
anyways,
remember? No
that's true.
offense to No Man's Sky.
I
There's only
bought
so many hours in a day.
I bought it for the PC, and even if I'm going to be honest, whenever a game was out for the PC,
Mm-hmm.
when I finally went to buy it, if it was out for the PC, even if I had the console, I still bought it for the PC.
Yeah.
But No Man's Sky, if you had it and popped it into your insert whichever PlayStation model number here, um, if you were to pop it in and not do the update, it was a completely different game than it was on day one because they put out a massive update to it, which pretty much made the game playable and changed stuff to it. Now the game has changed
Yeah.
so much, and it's great. Stuff being online, don't get me wrong, there's definite benefits to it because they can add stuff to the game. They can enhance your experience. But what it means is if those servers come down, that game is useless.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like how back in the day if we played you know
Diablo 1
Warcraft 2, Diablo 1, Warcraft 2 where we could just connect to each other's computers and host a game on those or whatever.
on
We
the
just put
LAN,
in our
baby.
on the LAN
Local area network.
or even going through IP and typing in your friend's IP address and going on there. Hey, I remember I had a server for the first Neverwinter Nights game.
I remember that.
But they're making it so you can't do that anymore. In order to get to other people's servers, you have to go through their main one, and then if that main one ever goes down, you're not really hosted because no one has a way to get to it because the code on the program just doesn't allow for it. But we try to stay positive, so we'll stick with buy physical media when possible.
Yeah. And if not physical media, then learn how to use your imagination, because we're running our D6 campaign
Yep.
in our game with our buddies on Sunday night, and all that takes is this and some way for us to communicate with each other. And I don't need to buy, I know the rules already. I did need to buy the rule set and learn the rule set, but that was a long time ago, and it's still going strong. I bought that back in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a book. That's it. You need to buy a book, and now you can play, and some pencils and paper. Oh, those are my updates: pencils and paper. Um,
Yep.
$5 for a buck at Ocean State Job Lot. There you go. Yeah, and hours upon hours upon hours of fun. We've got a group chat going, and with our group of friends, and that is one of the main subjects that comes up when we talk about it. Like, what has Buse done recently that was zany and off the wall? He's done a lot that's zany and off the wall.
My character is a little nuts. It was funny actually. I'm not comparing myself to the character too much. But so have you ever watched any episodes from the YouTube channel Cinema Therapy?
I believe so.
Okay, so their Jack Sparrow episode, when the way they described him, I'm like, that is way too close to my character. I forgot exactly what they called it, but pretty much what it comes down to, impulsive, doesn't necessarily think or care about the consequences. My character has a bit more of a moral center than Jack Sparrow did in the first couple movies. However,
Jack had a pretty good moral center in the first couple of movies.
Yeah, if you rewatch it, in some cases...
There was a core there.
There was a core there.
There were lines he would not cross.
Right, well, that was the whole reason he got into it, and the whole slavery thing.
Yeah.
But...
it wasn't just that. Like, he threatens Elizabeth Swann, but he doesn't hurt Elizabeth Swann.
Right.
And his life was on the line. He doesn't just do that randomly.
Yeah, and he also, he wasn't, for the most part, he wasn't a killer either, like in general.
He's more of a Robin Hood style character.
Yeah, he wanted to keep the stuff for himself. I wouldn't go as far as Robin Hood.
Okay. But he robbed from the rich.
Yeah.
He wasn't just going around robbing anybody.
But my character will just say he well, we talked about this kind of sort of last week in a thing that I hope we might post. I might add a postscript to the end to finish what we're talking about, but
yeah. I lost the internet.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of our recording, I lost the internet. Had nothing to do with me, nothing to do with the house. My entire area lost internet. I still don't know why. So I
I
assume one of the transformers or something went down.
Was it Optimus or
I don't know. Could have been.
it was Jazz? Jazz always causes problems. Um. Oh.
When? When did Jazz ever cause problems?
Okay. By the way, completely unrelated to what we're talking about, and all of you people back home won't care. However, Bees, if you didn't get it, there was an email link I sent to you, which would have made it so that it uploaded all the stuff that you had recorded on your end up to it. Uh,
Okay.
so check your email from
I'll
last
take a
week.
look at that.
But anyways,
Of a bad play where the hero's right. Oh,
so now that we
yes.
are
Fuse does crazy things.
40
Char.
minutes in,
Our good
oh
friend
yes,
Char does crazy things.
uh, running through the streets of Miami, breaking cars, breaking windows while trying to save people. Um,
48 feet tall
48
because he
feet
uses
tall,
grow powers.
so many times.
42 feet?
It
42
was
feet tall? I forget.
it was pretty tall. I thought at one point I got close to 54, but I'm not sure.
So, what prompted all this is he gets sent to. The group gets together and comes up with a plan. They're all going to meet at the mansion and see what's going on with the kidnapped girls. So, it's a bad mansion. Bad mansion in Miami. Theoretical, this isn't based on real events. Fictional, this isn't based on real events. So, they're all heading there, and as Harvey Birdman over here, Char, he turns into a bird. He gets there first, and he sees a bunch of armed guards in suits with guns, um, and it was three SUVs, four SUVs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Not by the time I was done with them.
No, no. So he goes as a bird. He flies under one of the SUVs and starts trying to disable it, and they end up starting. They move one of the SUVs while he's under it, and just as he's like, I'm letting him know, I'm not. None of this is a surprise or anything. He hears someone get into the driver's side of the SUV he's under, and he goes from miniature, however small he was at the time, to a full-size human. While this is going on, or right before this happened, he turned into a full-size human. So he's got a round for him to decide what to do. And I'm like, come on, shrink, shrink, shrink. Turn back into a bird. Do something. Nope. He tries to continue disabling the vehicle, and the vehicle pulls off at the very beginning of the next round, pulls off from on top of him. He almost gets hit by the part of the van or whatever, or SUV, sorry. And instead, he's now lying under an SUV, and there's 5 people around him with guns.
And that's when things went pear-shaped.
That's pear-shaped, just putting it nicely. So,
Yeah. Had a lot of fun with that though. By the way, when I am a GM or DM, I am a big proponent of do not split the party. My character, however, is the first one to leave the party every single time in this game.
I don't get the chance to not be a proponent of do not split the party because my party just likes to split, and
I
I'm
don't
okay with
want
that.
I don't want to split. It's just that
I didn't make you split.
I
That
offered
was
to
a collective you, by the way.
I offered to carry part of the party with me. They just didn't want to be carried with me as a giant bird.
You could have just gone with them on the motorcycle as a mouse or something.
Or on a bus or whatever. Yeah, no one suggested that.
I can't give you guys. I could theoretically give you guys suggestions during the game, but I
I'm
don't
not
think you
blaming
guys would
you. I'm
like
just
that.
saying no one suggested that.
Nope.
And I
None of you
didn't
guys
think of
thought
it.
of it.
I am in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Oh, I can probably pull this off on my own." And in my character's mind, he felt invincible. My character finally got hurt. Not much, but enough that he will think 10% more about the possibility of getting hurt.
Fair enough.
Just 1 calorie, not cautious enough. But
You got it with a pinky.
oh, but yeah, I'm we're having a lot of fun with the game.
Mm-hmm.
I I actually very much encourage all of you out there. If you are someone with an imagination, if you like with a good imagination, or you're someone who just enjoys hanging out with people, especially new people, go out to your local gaming store and see if you can get involved in a new RPG, like an RPG group that's taking new people in. If you can do it, it's fun. You can meet new people. It lets you exercise parts of your brain that you normally wouldn't. And as long as you're cool with stuff going wrong, because in the end, it's still a game. Your
Yeah.
character can still die.
Everything
Your
goes wrong
character can
once in a
still
while.
get hurt. Things go wrong. Your plans don't always work. Just like in a video game, when you're in a stealth mission and you accidentally make a mistake, things happen, or occasionally the game glitches out. In that case, we call that a GM mess up. But it's
Come
fun,
with me
and you're doing it with a
and
group of
you'll
people.
be.
It's the original multiplayer game. Come on. I mean, not the original, but you know what I mean. It's it's a multiplayer RPG you're doing with people, and the whole point is to have fun. And you're and again, if you're joining a new group of people, you can possibly make friends. Uh, you you're
Enemies.
in
You could make enemies.
you can make enemies, but you're also most likely by its very nature, especially if it's being hosted at a game shop, because a lot of game shops will rent out tables, and you go there on a Friday night, Saturday, or whatever. You'll notice people like rent out these tables, and they'll run their games or whatever. You're actually helping local businesses.
Yeah.
This is not an exaggeration. This is
Adventure
just
League.
Adventure League.
D&D does this where I think
Ah,
it's called
okay,
Adventure League. Uh, for version 6, 5, D,
okay,
whatever it's called. You got D&D 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What are those things called? Versions? I don't know.
yeah,
I forgot
yeah,
off the top of my head.
editions
It'll
or whatever.
That's it,
First,
5th edition.
yeah.
So in 5th edition, they had Adventure League where you had a standardized character sheet and they kept track of certain things and um certain resources on your sheet and what level you
Mm,
were and you kept a character log of what you did with who and when. And so you could bring this character into a new adventure and you guys just go and run adventures. And it's much more we talked on a different episode about making up your own uh, adventures versus using modules, and
mm-hmm.
so it's very much modules. Like you run modules. D&D has so many modules
Oh
for
yeah,
D5 for 5th edition and 3rd edition that there's just tons of them. Um, yeah, so I think it was called Adventure League. I don't know, but yeah, you
yeah,
can just go and play with other people, and you learn how to play the game without all the homebrew that you've been doing at your house when you're playing, or your buddy's house when you're playing D&D, and you kind of just homebrew the rules a little bit, change this, change that, make it flow easier for your group. Well,
mm-hmm.
Adventure League lets you play as standard, or if you're going to a game shop and you get into a game, um, you're going to learn somebody else's homebrews and what they like to do, and from that you might learn quite a bit about what things you might bring back to your own table,
Yeah,
or things you saw that were just awful that you're telling, hey, we shouldn't do this ever, or things you were doing that you can do better, or you don't know. Learn talking to other people lets you learn new things.
yeah.
D&D is another one of those. companies that's trying to make everything go online.
Oh, Wizards of the Coast? Yeah.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, they're trying to get D&D fully online, but they've been trying to do that since fourth edition. Like, one of the big problems with fourth edition D&D was that it was built to be, to
Be a
work
video game
with a
system.
computer programming, a
Yeah.
computer program, a computer program they never put out. So you're keeping track of like now for a computer, keeping track of all your bonuses and everything is easy. It just runs the program. But for players who are sitting there and every player has say 5 bonus things going on, trying to remember all the bonuses of 5 people in your party times 5 things, that's 25 bonuses you now need to keep in your head as the DM. Plus, every one of the monsters that you're fighting, they all get bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
And for a computer, that's nothing. That's okay, run program.
So they pretty much want to make it so that the most every player has to have with them is just their phone, and they're good to go.
Yeah,
But I'll be honest,
I'd rather have my dice.
yeah, having your dice or having a sheet sometimes in front of you. I'm not saying I don't have my characters up on Google Docs and stuff like that, but still, it's my sheet. It's not all hosted on. Well, it might be hosted online, but I also can save it to my computer. I don't have to worry about the second that they start putting everything online. If they put out a new edition, then you have to worry, well, when's the end of life on all that stuff? If all the books and guides and characters are all hosted on their servers, it's going to be the same thing we were talking about with computer programs and computer games, where all of a sudden there's going to be an end of life and you don't own it. You don't own your character. It's not on a piece of paper you have. Yeah, you might be able to print it off, but if they make all these bonuses and stuff, like, to the point where, like, you don't know how to do the calculations because they didn't release the algorithms that they use to do all the stuff in the background. You laugh, but I
No, it's
wouldn't be
true.
surprised. Um,
I don't know if it's true for D&D, but I was just thinking if we knew all the algorithms and everything for Marvel Heroes, we'd be running our own. They
mhm.
specifically kept that stuff to themselves
Yep.
for proprietary reasons, so no one could replicate the game and no one could host a private server. And
And I had heard that when
it's kind of a punch
Gazillion,
in the gut to us.
it was Gazillion, right?
Yeah, it was Gazillion.
Yeah, I heard that when they went, like, on the final day of it, that they, now this was just rumors that I heard online, that I read on a couple of forums, from supposedly from some people who had been fired, because the way that Gazillion ended up getting rid of everybody, it was bad. They would pretty much
Oh,
get rid of a
yes.
couple people like every day or every week up until they finally closed down. And for some people who were let go ahead of time, supposedly, anecdotal evidence from forums, may or may not be true, but for the people who were there on the last day, claimed that they literally smashed the servers, made sure that the made sure that any storage drives were destroyed because they didn't want this stuff still leaking out afterwards.
Mm.
Supposedly they were afraid of being sued by Marvel, but other people said that they were just being pissy, forgive my language. Oh no, YouTube's gonna demonetize. Oh wait. So
We need to get monetized first.
exactly. I'm working on it. That's why the reels. So
Game with me. Go ahead.
for those of you who do watch us, our 4 regular viewers, um, of which,
Hi, we love
oh,
you.
I was going to say, I think bees might be one of them. But for our 4 regular viewers out there, hey, you know what? I hate to. I swore I wasn't going to do this,
Are you gonna sing the
but I
subscribe
lied.
song? Because I couldn't pull it off.
I'm not going to sing the subscribe song, but I will say this, because all our viewers already subscribed, so I don't really have to worry about that. But for our regular viewers, if you like stuff we're saying, especially in little reels we put out, or the reel shorts, whatever you want to call it, you know, sections of these videos, share it, show it to a friend
With
who
someone you
might be
love.
interested. Um, we're not trying to artificially inflate our numbers. All we, but if people out there who might enjoy our content, we're we're just two broke 40-year-old guys. Um, and we're we can't afford to sink as much money into it. If we did, we'd have more subscribers. If I was willing to, you know, drop a few $100 into this for 4 days for YouTube to increase the amount of people it pushes out to by 20 per day, or oh no, we're not supposed to talk about that. But
20 per day?
roughly, I'll show you the stuff later. You can see it on your side if you want to as well.
I
But
might take a look at it. Yeah.
but
$100 for 20 a day. Wow.
oh no, no, I said 200 for like 4 days, something like that. I could be off a little on the numbers, but it doesn't feel far.
Maybe we should go over to Rumble.
We'd have less of an audience there. Sorry,
I don't I don't think we could.
yeah, we might have more of an audience, but we wouldn't be able to grow. It was just like when it would be just like when I was on. Oh, there was another video sharing site which I went over to because I knew a bunch of people who had gone over there. And yeah, my other channel, Bucephalus, you can go watch me do Magic the Gathering opening videos that are really, really bad production values. But over on the other site, which again
There's
I
good
forget.
production values on Magic the Gathering opening videos. It's just
Yeah,
people opening up a deck of cards.
yeah, but
I'm sorry, a packet of cards.
my camera was bad. I didn't have that great of a mic, whatever. But anyways, on the other video sharing site, I had like I know this is not a lot. This is not me bragging, but I had like 20 subscribers and I had maybe 30 to 50 views on the videos each. On YouTube,
Nice.
I have actually I think my card opening videos on YouTube have more views than each of our podcasts, but still they're not very high. And part
Fair
of that
enough.
again is just the algorithm with YouTube. It's not like it used to be. If you're not giving them money, they're not showing your stuff. When you first come out, they will. Our first video, it's not just because I shared it with my friends on Facebook. Our first video got more views. Our first short got quite a bit of views,
Mm.
but by our measurements, not by like anybody who does YouTube for a living measurements.
We've
However,
almost hit 1,000.
we almost hit 1,000. 981, and it hasn't gone up any cents. But that's it. And YouTube hasn't been pushing forward the other stuff because they want us to give them money. Facebook, the same deal. The first, our primary first video that we did got more people looking at it. And again, I know some of that is from sharing it with my friends on Facebook. I get that.
Mm.
But the reel, the first reel that I put out on Facebook, I did a few. That also got not a ton, but quite a bit more than the other ones did. And it's like, so you're willing to show this to like 80 people, but then the next ones you're only showing to like 2 to 3.
Yeah, that's right.
On YouTube, now maybe, and again, I haven't figured out the algorithm, but on YouTube I figured maybe because our first reel had Fantastic Four in the title, and maybe it just caught it at the right time. Maybe some people were looking for stuff like that, and so it put us in with it.
Fantastic, Fantastic Four. Ba-dum, bum, bum.
But part of me kind of doesn't. I don't know, but we'll see.
Little cynical there. Are you not staying positive about YouTube algorithms?
I am positive the YouTube algorithm is bane to my social media existence when trying to get people to take a look at this stuff. But all joking aside, we're doing this for fun. You guys are merely listening to the conversations that Bees and I have on my couch when
Well, the
he
kind
comes
of
up to visit
conversations
us.
we have.
Well, yeah, the kind of conversations. Well, actually, some of the conversations are almost verbatim because we've had some of these conversations over the years.
Yes.
Just instead of my wife sitting on the couch listening to us talk, you out there in YouTube and Facebooky land, or
Blam
as you,
blam Truckerland.
or as the old Hulu videos used to call it, Facey Space Land. Um, Back when MySpace was a thing. Like, you guys are now listening to us, and you enjoy it. Even though I'm willing to bet that out of the four of you, we know three of you personally.
Remember
Ah,
these?
Slivers?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember Booman Sliver deck.
yeah. It did not work,
Crenshaw's
and then
Sliver
it
deck's
did.
pretty decent as well if you haven't played against it.
I've got one somewhere. So Booman bought the Sliver pack. So Slivers came out years back,
Yep.
and then they made a resurgence with a Sliver pack, and it was just all the best slivers from that time period in Magic the Gathering. All the best of that particular brand of card in one deck. It was a precursor to Commander in
Hmm.
some ways, and no repeats. So if you wanted four of one, you had to buy four of these decks. And I think I have four of them all said and done somewhere in my piles of geekdom. And anyway, yeah, four. So he bought one deck and he played it against us right as I'm learning the game. I didn't play Magic the Gathering until I was 30 something years old, and I've had a couple of killer decks because I sat down with people who'd been playing the game for at that point what 10 years. The game was about 10 years old at that point, 10, 15 years
Sounds about
old.
right.
So I sat down with some people who weren't pros but knew what they were doing, and I read articles and I did my research and I started being able to put a decent deck together. And Buse has been doing this since Magic the Gathering came out, more or less, maybe a year or two after. I don't know. How long have you been playing Magic?
About the same amount as you officially.
What?
I learned how to play Magic from Wise Guy, if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
He taught me how to play back when we were in college, and that was the
yeah,
first
that's
time I
got
played.
10 years on me.
And then I didn't play again because I never bought cards. I didn't play again until
Until we started playing?
right, and then that's when
Yeah.
I think you started buying cards before I did, or I might have bought a deck for me and my wife, and then used that at first, and then got into it. You're the one. I started the same time with you, like in during the that Zendikar block.
Yeah,
That was when you started. And then
yeah.
you were the one who helped me build my Eldrazi deck. And if it wasn't
That's
for
an
you, that
evil, evil
Eldrazi
deck.
deck would. By the way, thank you for Elvish Piper. If you had never mentioned Elvish Piper, that deck would not work the way it does. It would be similar, but it just wouldn't be able to put it out like within
I,
2 turns.
I really hate that deck. I love it too, by the way.
Hmm.
For all you people out there, that is a sign of respect when you get a deck that you can't, that you know is going to be hard to beat. Like you see them start putting cards out, and you're like, "Is this your Eldrazi deck?" I'm not saying anything. Yeah, but is it your Eldrazi deck? You put out a green elf. Is it the Eldrazi deck? Did you build an elf deck? I know you have a couple other decks with some elves in it. Is it the Eldrazi deck? I'm not saying anything.
We had that conversation, what, about a month and a half ago, right? And
Whenever we play Magic, because
and you forget that I have multiple elf decks because yeah, I played one of my other elf decks, and so I put out an elf card and then another elf card, and they're both mana building elf cards. And Bees is like,
mm-hmm.
"This is your Eldrazi deck, isn't it?" Put out another one. This is your Eldrazi deck, isn't it? And then it was a green red deck that I was actually playing, and so I just was I for partially purposely, but also partially because I didn't have the ability to play them. I just was holding back like the mountains in my hand and like the red cards. So I'm like, well, these won't really help me much, and it was just nice to watch him squirm. So I did that for a couple of turns. But yeah, we have. I have fun with that deck. It's a deck I don't play often with our group of friends, mainly because it's more of the it feels more like just like the myth, the legend when it comes to everybody. Like I feel like they hate it just because they feel they can't beat it, not because they can't beat it, because they can beat it. It has been beaten. You've beaten
It's
it
beaten
multiple
most of the
times.
time.
When we're doing a group setting, it normally gets beaten because the second
Everybody
they
gangs
know I'm
up on you.
playing it, yeah. But everybody worries because the first couple times I played it, I was able to decimate people. I think you were the only one who went after me like the first two times. Then after that, now everybody goes after me, or my wife. My wife always goes after me in a group game.
That's how I feel in every group game I play with you guys.
Well, that's because you normally win.
So I put in the effort and I put in the time to figure out how to build killer decks for at least
Yeah.
for my play level. Like I'm not saying I should be on the pro circuit. I probably shouldn't be. Um, but I did sit and read articles from pros and how pros build their decks and how to get cards out fast, mana ramping, all
Hmm?
this stuff. And which, if you're not a Magic the Gathering fan player, you won't understand what we're talking about. But his Eldrazi deck, Eldrazi's are the largest, most powerful creatures in the game for the on average. There may be something bigger since then. I don't know, but when they
We haven't
came out,
really
they were
bought new cards for like
yeah,
about 6 years. It feels like now.
probably more than that. It was before the pandemic, so
Oh
uh,
goodness.
yeah, hard to believe that was 2020, huh?
Yeah, it's been 4 years. It feels like it was
Well,
just
this yeah,
yesterday.
year four. Anyway, that Eldrazi, those Eldrazi's were these giant creatures that once they came out, they were incredibly difficult to get rid of.
Because they would be
So
destroying. It wasn't just that they did a lot of damage. They would, in addition, each one of them had a game mechanic called Annihilate, which pretty much any one of your cards that was out, any one of your cards that was like permanently on the board, for those people who don't play Magic, I'll say permanently on the board. For people who do play Magic, permanents, um, it would destroy a certain amount of them, and
yeah,
there were some of them which let you take the stuff that you destroyed. So it not only knocked down your life, it
yeah,
made it actually more difficult to
to counter
defend.
them. Yeah,
So
they
yeah.
were just incredibly damaging cards. And so when we figured out a way to get them out fast
Mm-hmm.
with cards that were not in play. That um, the Elvish Piper in particular, that
Elvish
wasn't a
Piper, Channel, both of
yeah,
those, which are two of my big ones, those ones were from previous sets. And we played, I
yeah.
forgot what it's called, Legacy or whatever, so that we could use whatever cards we
So
wanted in. So,
when we started playing right before Commander became a thing,
mm-hmm.
so we were playing what you would call Legacy, rules loosely enforced, where you could use cards from any era, and then Standard is where you can only use cards from the current
The
last
current
two
block.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
last two
current
years of
two
cards
years. Yeah.
on average. It's more specific than that, but we don't need to get into that.
No.
So the last 2 years of cards, basically, and if you use the last 2 years of cards, none of our decks. Well, no, I have like one deck that fit standard for the year of Zendikar, and that's the ally deck, and that's it. The rest of them we were completely legacy. We'd pull cards from anything we could afford to buy
Mm-hmm.
that we thought would work, and so we were playing these crazy legacy decks. And that Eldrazi deck was great. But I put in the time, I put in the effort. I learned about mana ramping. I learned about, you can't just put in a bunch of cards that cost a ton of mana to get out because now you're waiting for every round you can only put out one additional land with exceptions. The game is about exceptions.
Yeah.
The rules are all there to have exceptions to them. It's like in the English language, for crying out loud. More exceptions than there are rules. And which works very well for Magic. It's one of the reasons why it's so much fun. So yeah, uh, but if you're only putting out, if in your first round you put out one land that gives you one mana, then you want a couple of cards in your deck that only cost 1 to 2 to put out, so that on round one you can maybe put a card out or use a card, or round two you can use a card. You want more low mana cards than you want high mana cards, because if every card you want to cast, every spell you want to cast costs 7 mana, then you're going to have a deck full of great cards that you can't do anything with until round 7.
And you're probably
And
dead
then
by
you can
then.
put out one card, and you're going to be dead by then. because everybody else has 1 mana cost cards and 2 mana cast cards, and that's most of their deck. And 3 mana cost cards should be one of your bigger. You shouldn't have a lot of 3 mana cast cards. You should only have one to, like that's the after that. Then you get into your high mana cast cards. Anything above 3, in my opinion, is a high mana cast card.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 is rough, and then there's ways to modify that. Like my dragon deck is built on reducing the cost of the dragons.
Yep.
Which is why that's such a good deck. Because you're able to put out big monsters, big dragons, that I've reduced the cost down on them so much that you're actually able to get them out. And I have little dragon cards that are out there that, like the dragon egg, that will be able to block for me while I'm building my dragons up. With a couple of spells for direct damage. I really ought to take out some of the dragons and put in a little bit more direct damage. But that depends on who I'm playing, and I do have a sideboard. Sideboard is extra cards you can add or remove from your deck. Mm-hmm. So, and because I got so good at it, whenever I play with our group of friends that we game with on Sundays, everybody at the table works together to take me out of the game first now.
Except for my wife.
That's because she's taking you out first.
Exactly.
And it's really obnoxious because my decks are good. My decks are better in general than everybody else's decks. Yep. By like this much. Not by this much, by like this much.
Yeah, I mean, individually, there's probably one or two exceptions, but even what I consider some of my worst decks have beaten some of your best decks, because some of it is random.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
And how tired we are when we're playing, because there's a lot of... This game is all about the strategy.
Yep.
So, like, the last time we played, we just kept pushing. You want to do one more game? No, I want to go to bed. But yeah, I'll do one more game. And I think we did, 2, 3 of those?
Yep.
In the last game, it took like an hour.
And the last one we were both just... And the reason it took an hour is because we were exhausted. It probably should have been a 20-minute game, at most.
And then we'd stop and talk about something else entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sometimes about you truckers.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Oh.
We love our truckers.
We do.
Go blam out there, you truckers. We're at 1 hour and 12 at this point. You want to call it?
Yeah, we'll call it. So this is just we'll call this episode A Fun Bunch of Ranting by Bees and Bews. There was a little bit of ranting, though.
A little bit.
But, fun bunch of rambling. Go for it.
If anybody out there happens to know David Zaslav or anybody over the WB that would be more than willing to listen to a pitch of mine, as you all know, I do want to actually pitch a movie over there one of these days. And probably fall flat on my face, but I'm going to go down trying. So if you know anybody, contact us down in the comments down below. And I'd appreciate that quite a bit.
And if you know anyone who wants to hire me for more than I'm making right now, I can learn.
All right, buddy.
All right. Everyone,
take care. You go. All right, I'll go.
All right.
I'll go, then you go. How's that? All you blam truckers out there, keep on trucking out there in blam trucker land. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. And tell your friends, tell your family. Well, don't tell them too much. You don't want to annoy them. But let them know. You got a fun time out here, and they're going to have a good time if they listen in.
Like, share, subscribe. Ooh, the button lit up. And we'll see you, truckers.
Subscribe.